This is my notes, reading about Tiamat and Marduk. I think it's interesting to point out Tiamat equals the moon, Marduk equals the sun. The moon ruled the night and the sun ruled the day. This is a common trope, of course, among different mythologies, Egyptian mythology, various mythologies. However, seeing they have utilized Mesopotamian mythology as a polemic against Mesopotamian mythology, but also invoking their myth to their own creation narrative. I'd like to hear you comment on that, Tiamat and Marduk, with the Mesopotamian connections, but also if you have any added sneak peeks, I'm all ears.
So you have the story of the battle of Tiamat and Marduk. Tiamat was this dragon-like, watery, chaotic creature in primordial times. And Marduk was the new god in town. He decided that he wanted to become the leader of the gods. The council of the gods elected him, and he led this battle against Tiamat. So that was the original creation myth of the Enuma Elish, where Marduk defeated Tiamat and constructed out of her corpse. The idea that Marduk was the sun and Tiamat was a watery darkness, that is kind of an allegorical interpretation that Berossus imposed on the original story. There are some Babylonian references to Marduk as light or the sun or things like that, but he went full on allegory, and he said that when this bizarre creation story says that Marduk slew Tiamat, what that meant was that it's really talking about how the world began in darkness and chaos and water, and how the light came in and defeated the darkness. So he took this myth and turned it into a Greek cosmology. He spruced it up with science by means of his allegorical method. But now what's interesting is, in doing so, he said that the Babylonians had the world start out in darkness and water. Genesis 1 verse 2, which said that the earth was without form and void, and darkness covered the face of the deep. So you have the darkness and the watery oceans in Genesis 1 verse 2. In Berosus, you have Tiamat being water and darkness. But that was not in the original Enuma Elish. So the version that Berossus had is actually closer to Genesis than the cuneiform original. Now this has really messed with scholars, because why does Moses resemble Genesis 1 verse 2 so much? Well, they said, there's only one conceivable explanation. This is a Jewish interpolation into Berossus, like Berossus' history of Babylon, and somehow the Jews got a hold of it, and they made some changes here and there. And that's the only version that came down to Alexander Polyhistor, and that's the type we have today. They said it had to have happened that way because we know the Enuma Elish didn't have darkness and water. This sounds like Genesis. We know that Genesis is really old. He's way before Berossus. So Berossus must be indirectly utilizing Genesis by means of these Jewish editors, these redactors, which is all a bunch of nonsense. And it's based on the idea that Genesis is this ancient Near Eastern text
Right.
Instead of being written after the time of Berossus, in which case there's no problem. These guys were reading Berossus. They saw darks in water, and they used it. They went with it. No problem at all. So it's a matter of it's one of the good chronological clues that the Book of Genesis is a lot younger than people imagine. It's younger than 280 BC at the earliest.